Betting from horse racing is totally possible when you understand the analytical data, and anyone can learn how to do it. So in this video, I'm going to break down a data-driven horse racing betting strategy with an example and all the numbers just like usual. Now, human emotions, irrational behaviour and indecision are the enemy of successful betting. They often lead to problems like chasing your losses, but they're also a source of massive value and opportunity on betting exchanges, providing you're following a logical structure. Plus, horses are creatures of habit that routinely behave in the same way over and over again. Now, these two facts are what create a strategic advantage that led me to place this bet. I'll walk you through the breakdown in just a second, but first I need to explain why this works and where we find these opportunities, because it's quite an advanced strategy that beginners won't understand without. So maybe watch this twice if it's a little bit overwhelming at first. So I'm starting with historical data for all the horses that are running today. By analysing and understanding their betting data gathered from the betting exchange markets in the past, it's possible to highlight betting patterns associated with the horse's running style. It's far better than opinion or a verdict published in the newspaper because they're real betting data points. To reiterate, this data is far more valuable than opinion as it represents a group of people collectively putting their money where their mouth is, and in some cases, lots of it. Money talks, as they say. So this is the race that we're going to focus on. The example that I've picked is a horse with a repetitive running style within a standout situation. And the situation that the horse is within is almost as important as the selection. Now, this will make more sense in a second when we break down what actually happened with the race, but I want you to understand this in advance for context so it's clearer. Now, the horse I'm talking about here is Fair and Square, and the reason that this horse is of interest to me is for several different reasons. First of all, its average running style is a 1. That is based on data historically in previous horse races where this horse has led the race. So the lower the number, the more chance the horse has of leading the race. So you can see, for example, in contrast, Level Up here is an average running style of 3. Will not be leading this race, or it doesn't have a historical pattern of doing so. On top of that, this race also has very few front runners. Now, it's got some 2s in there, but they're not an average 1. So if we click on Fair and Square here, you can see that these are all the previous historical runs for this horse based on market data on the betting exchange whilst it's in play, and you can see that routinely this horse leads the race. Now, there is an exception here or there, but systematically this horse likes to lead the race. And on top of that, over on the right, you can see that the prices have dropped significantly in play as a result of that. Now, knowing what's likely to happen at the start of this race puts us in a well-prepared position. When the race goes in play, the price points will bounce around frantically in line with what's actually happening. Some people will panic, make poor decisions and take bad prices. However, we've only got one job. We're going to react to the situation depending on what we see. If the horse bounces out into the lead, we'll allow the price to contract a little and cash out a profit for minimal risk. Or if the horse doesn't take its usual lead, we'll cash out for little or no loss instantly. It's a play on likely probabilities whilst protecting the potential downside. Now, doing this doesn't guarantee a win every time, but the wins exceed the losses when it's done right. The key point to remember here is the whole strategy is methodical and data led, so we're not making subjective spur of the moment decisions based on emotions or gut feeling. So let's see how this example works out. So here we are down the start of the race. Over on the left hand side of the screen, you'll see me highlighting our particular runner in the orange colours. Now, there's 3 horses in this race in orange colours, so don't let that confuse you once they break out. But our horse is coming from stall number 1 on the far side with the opportunity to grab the running rail first. So I placed the back bet whilst the horses are loading into the start, because this opportunity is between the starting price and that first 1-2 furlongs into the race. So we place a back bet of £100 at a price of 6.8. If we head back over to the race, you can see the last horse is going in and we're looking for those orange colours on the far side. Now, the camera angle here is pretty bad, to be honest, at the start of this race, so it's not as clear as I'd like it to be. It would be better in other examples possibly, but you'll see that our horse jumps out in conjunction with a couple of others and goes to the lead. Now the horse's running style is preferred to run at the front of the race. The horse is obviously quite keen, and so the horse does the hard work for us here and pulls towards the front of the pack as it hits the bend. Now this is a crucial point, because if the horse wasn't in this position at this point in time, I'd be looking to cash out my position for little or no loss at all. It's possible that it could even make a profit whilst cashing out if the horse hasn't gone to a lead at the start here. Obviously it's the very start of the race. It's only been a few seconds since they've jumped out there, but this was where our advantage and opportunity was based on that previous historical data. So if we go back over to the Betfair exchange, you can see I've cashed out here, those green numbers on the left there, around about 21% profit just on that first furlong or so, which might surprise some people that have never seen this horse racing betting strategy or way of doing things before. Now we'll run through the numbers specifically in just a second if that's unclear to you, but for now I want to show you the Betfair chart whilst this race was in play just after our lay position had been matched, because it highlights clearly what's happened here at the very start of the race. The horses bounced out in front, gained an advantage quite clearly, got the rail nice and early, and that has led to the price contraction for a very short period of time, which was our edge or advantage in this instance. So we've got the recording paused here. Let's let it play out a little bit further, see what happens before going through the numbers. Slightly different camera angle here. You can see that our runner is clearly in the lead, front running there, and the rest of the field is quite happy to allow our horse to do this, which is the main point that I want to make here. We've found an advantage in an uncompetitive race in terms of the pace with this particular horse, so we can grab that price contraction with the numbers clearly on our side. So now they come into the final bend there, and you can see that the race is picking up here long after we've got out of our position, which is really what's key here, because we're limiting our downside, we're limiting our risk, we're giving ourselves some potential for some profit in the process, and we're not doing anything risky or crazy in terms of gambling. And so we've managed to turn what would have been a losing bet into a profitable situation with our horse coming past the post third in this particular instance. So to confirm the overall betting position, you can see our back bet and our lay bet on the same horse on the right hand side of the screen there. If you take the stakes and subtract the initial back stake from the lay stake, you'll see that you're left with £21.43, and if you subtract the liability from the potential profit if the horse should have won, you'll also see that the result is £21.43, which is how we ended up with that cash out figure of £21.43, which is not a bad return when all things are considered. If that's too complex, there's a far simpler strategy here in the end screen that anybody can do after watching. See you next time.